but they go towards the Jax instead for Xiaoshu. With both of those carry top laners inside the Renekton and the K'Sante banned away, RA very willing to hand Xiaoshu, you know, a matchup where he can potentially look to take control of the game in his own hands.
See what Allah's going to go for into that Jax as well. And the question is, do you want to get Allah a favorable matchup here, or do you want to try and get Uzi that Xayah alongside the Rakan? Or maybe just looking towards the mid lane instead, trying to get a favorable matchup for Fofo. As the Nico made it through. Annie also available, but the Nico locked in here for Fofo.
Yeah, wow. Again, like this draft could have been really, really overloaded, right? You have the Annie up, you have the Vi up, Nico was up as well, Zeri Yuumi. Like, don't get me wrong, I am the biggest Zeri hater that there is going, but Zeri plus the Yuumi is still very, very powerful. We're on 13-11, don't forget. We haven't moved over to 12 or anything like that. All of that slipped through for now, as EDG have junglers to ban away. I presume it's the safest one to take off the table, so they take away the Kha'Zix, and then things like the Viego against Lian, not too bad. They could also look towards any other skirmisher, anything that's really going to empower these solo laners. Like, you could even ban away happily Lee Sin, even though it's not necessarily too strong in the meta in terms of what it can provide for a Lee Sin and or rather a LeBlanc and a Jax in terms of a 2v2 pairing is quite powerful.
I mean, Lee Sin getting buffs as well on, is that 12, 13? Or
I think it's
13,
yeah,
12, sorry, not the other way.
I think it's 13-13, I think. So not
13,
not the next patch, but the patch after. Ooh, okay, EDG calling out assumes Draven after game 1. Can definitely respect that one. So I wonder if that means that EDG are just looking to go towards the Kai'Sa again as well, right? Whether that is the option, if they really forego going towards the Xayah. I feel like it's too much of a given. If I was RA, I would be looking to remove that now. If I was them, just to take it away. They go towards the Kai'Sa read. Now EDG just get Xayah for free. And I wonder what Assume is actually going to look
perplexed. He was not expecting the Kai'Sa ban. I will say, Kai'Sa, 100% presence in this series. Like, game number 1, it was EDG's. Game number 2 is RA's. Like, Kai'Sa barely even being in the meta until very recently, and now skyrocketing in priority in the bottom side as Uzi does take that Xayah.
Alright, so I wonder if this just means Assume's going towards the Aphelios then? Because if you're banning out Kai'Sa, it's because you were afraid of the general dive and the, you know, the direction that this EDG composition was going in, and also kind of just seeing the Draven ban. But I'm also surprised you didn't just ban the Xayah to deny the combination, right? And you have so much, you know, dive threat already between, you know, Nautilus, Jax. It just feels like a bit of a no-brainer. But banning away the, you know, a favorable AD carry, but not necessarily the most favored pairing with the Rakan is the choice for RA, and they go towards Sejuani. So top side 2v2, very, very powerful, so much CC, loads of lockdown. Allah is going to have his work cut out for him, depending what he decides to lock in. And of course, that pool has been pinched a fair amount, as now we just look towards the AD carry role for Assume, and, you know, Jinx, Aphelios, all of the classic stuff is up and available, and it's the Jinx you'll land on.
Even Zeri would have been available as well, does well into that Rakan during the laning phase, but it's going to be the Jinx locked in for Assume. So late game team fighting, RA drafting a few more tools to use in those later game scraps that EDG has been favoring. The Gragas, as the final hover, does very well into the Jax. Allah has played it a billion times over the years, so you'd anticipate that being locked in as the final spot for EDG, playing a tanky top laner, playing towards Uzi. And I feel like kind of going back to the style from EDG that we've kind of got used to seeing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what's actually pretty good across the board is that EDG have pretty stable lanes, right? I think a very good base plate for JJ to potentially build off of. So let's see how EDG get on in the early game. I think compositionally, a lot of directions that this comp can go in, right? They can play defensively, they can play aggressively. I think much like the previous game, very versatile in what those champions can do and how they can actually approach team fights. Whereas I feel like for RA, it's a little bit more one-track mind, right? You've got Sejuani, you've got Nautilus, Jax, LeBlanc. All of these champions kind of want to go forward. Jinx wants to hit whatever is in front of her. So it's going to be a lot more about how RA approach pick tools as opposed to outright 5v5s every single time, and then looking to go on from there.
So they are game number 3 though. RA taking EDG to the 3rd game in the series, and EDG, it does feel like they leveled up. They figured out some of the issues after game number 1. Came in with a win for game number 2. Fofo really being kind of the big engage tool, and I will say the Nico can very much fulfill a similar role to that Lissandra, if that's the way that EDG have decided they want to play out the game, but they're up against
Juns, and so is the Blanc with the stack shift. So we do have two very, very powerful mid laners. It's going to be such a risky dive now, but they still are 3-2. JJ's cleared his topside camps. He's not coming down here to cover this gank.
Mako's trying to hold the wave here. Lien comes in though. The knockups are there, but Lien's in trouble. The aftershock not quite enough, and Uzi gets first blood. Assume surely goes down as well as Baolan's tanking the tower. Assume's stuck underneath the tower. Uzi is chasing him. One more auto. No, the Q flies through. A double for Uzi and one for JJ. It's absolute curtains for RA. We're only 3 minutes in.
I've just been like from the start of this play, before they even shove in this wave, Dredge line misses. And it's a bad Dredge line to cast in the first place, in my mind, to be honest. Leon goes in super early. Aftershock barely keeps him alive for an extra whoa, and Assume almost dies to Mako, right-clicking him above anything else. Man, that dive was just... It just wasn't good.
Yeah.
It just wasn't good. The idea, great. The execution...
Like it might, as a wave will crash in the bottom side. JJ not going to come and steal plate gold. Just going to keep on mentioning that. Lien is Fofo. He's found Baolan, and we know he's going down. Fofo grabs a kill as Lien re-engages it. Mako has to flash away, strive with a chain as well. Fofo the target for now. As Uzi is kind of alone on the top side, but they don't really focus him, and Strive's in trouble instead. Uzi's just charging at them, and Strive forced away. Assume now under the tower on his own. Root goes wide, but the minion wave is moving on in, and Uzi's behind him. Featherstorm comes out, and the pull's gonna be good. Uzi is smurfing on RA. It is brutal.
The answer to your question.
That's okay. We're on 12 plates across the map for EDG. Yeah. 12 plates. That is insane. And now Ala looks for Lien. Great little Everfrost there. The slow comes out from the barrel as well with a Proto Belt coming on through. Fofo finishes off the enemy jungler. Start off with, but a lot of what's happened here, good cast from Ala. He's actually going to get away with this, doesn't even have to flash. But hey, no perfect game. RA get 2 towers for themselves. Uzi finishes the tower in the mid lane as well. Fofo, triple Pop Blossom, and looks for more as well. 2 kills taken, and the tower goes down. It's absolutely beautiful from EDG. They might even threaten a tier 2. Was it his flash cooldown? Ala starting to play onto Lien here, but the entire gang is here. I think Ala maybe getting a little overconfident on this one. Still surviving somehow. They're trying to gift the kill over to Assume and finally do so.
More worrying. The fact that Ala found himself there, or how long it took for them to kill Ala when he's not even playing tank Gragas. Speaking of tanks, Baolan's the 3rd Dragon Mask. We look at this replay here of this 3-man ultimate, and it's RA that, you know, engage on this, and yeah. Fofo, look at the T-Tours. Setup is perfect, and I mean, he was disguised as JJ, but I assume they knew. If they didn't, well...
Depends if RA actually fights them.
Do they throw their body at the Baron pit? Let's find out. Teleport's coming in from Arla now.
Here we go, engage onto Baolan. Lien trying to disengage. Baolan flashes out with his life. Strive on the backside will go down here. Uzi with yet another kill. As EDG, I nearly said UDG, which kind of works, UDG. Stepping onto the Baron again. Lien, he would really love to contest this, but it's just not happening, and he actually might sacrifice his own life. Flashes away. And I actually don't know if it is going to be over 17 now, because RA don't look like they want to fight. Assume, what are you doing, man? Why are you still there? Knocked up. The Blasco will be followed. In fact, it's denied by Ala as well. Okay, it is going to be 17. I take it back. Yeah. I take back my take.
Under 17? Over 17?
Over 17.
Or for double points.
This is like EDG play like co-op versus AI. And like the bots just keep on showing up in the lane, but they don't really do anything. They kind of just stand there and watch you take the tower. Like they're programmed to try and not die. And that's like their biggest priority. So they just kind of stand there and right click back and forth. RA now might just get dove. Tower's going to fall, that's for sure. But what else will go down? Uzi finishes the tower. TP's coming out. NA. It's a kill for RA. Maybe these are Doom bots after all.
Hey, I mean, look. 2 is 100% more than 1 as Xiaoshu finds a double stun.
The Featherstorm comes out. And Uzi somehow gets a kill with the outward burst of the Featherstorm. They're just going to end the game. Strive Tries to find Uzi, but he doesn't get the shift proc. That is disastrous. The red buff is there. Bloodline is there. The Nexus towers are bare. And it's EDG with some really great hair. I don't know, I couldn't think of a fourth rhyme, but they are going to end the game and take this series 2-1.
Yeah, that final game was a slaughter, wasn't it? There was nothing RA could do after the initial dive goes the way it does, and then there's a redive on the opposite end from EDG. It's just too big of a gap, and Uzi gets such a massive lead on that Xayah that RA just found no answer. They could have maybe tried to play through the top side, but even that is Jax into Gragas. Gragas has so many tools to this way, dives, ganks, all of that good stuff. So EDG kind of just cruised to a Game 3 victory, and at the very least, right, talking about the grander storylines of EDG as a team, that's the kind of early game that we would like to see coming out of them. Just a little bit more consistency, right? Not even just about the overall success rate, but just being generally more aggressive and not just watching the game